G'day friends, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name is James, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. This is my Midori B6 Slim and I use this book mainly for stream of consciousness journaling pages. You can see some here. These were from Virtual Voyage number 4, nope, I lie. 5, A Very Villainous Voyage. So those are kind of themed ones, but today this one is just a whole bunch of thoughts that I've just dumped out onto the page and just expressed everything. This is a big visual representation of what my brain is going through. They always end up looking really hectic, but I do really enjoy the process and I feel like I benefit a lot from it. Just taking an hour or however long I've got to sit down and not just play with the supplies, because that's a big part of it, to feel good whilst I'm using and playing with my supplies, but to unload my thoughts, kind of process through them in a bit more of a tangible, like physical way, rather than just a mental way. Because I'm using this journal, I thought it would be good. I know this video is going up at the end of January. I thought it would be good to kind of talk about some of the journals I want to, how I want to work with my journaling in 2022. I did I never learned my lesson. I did a what I want for 2020 video, and it was kind of terrible to look back at it because everything was difficult. I think we all know that after 2020, we should probably be a little bit more, I guess, flexible with our goals for the year, which I already thought I was, but I don't know, it was something about that I really felt like that year I had planned everything out perfectly and it was just going to work. And a couple of months in, I mean, it was what it was. Anyway, I'm not going to plan the whole year out again, but as far as journaling goes, I think I can kind of share some of my thoughts with you and kind of just unpack it a little bit. I have been journaling in anything and everything for years and years and years. Like, I don't think there's ever been a time where I've been a one journaler. And I don't think that's going to change either for 2022. But I've noticed that since I do a lot of workshops, I do kind of split up how I journal in different journals. And so straight off the bat, I have this one here, which is a B6 Slim Midori, and it is stream of consciousness. And I also have this with my Bambi my Sky Bambi companion travel like briefcase. So that kind of lives in there, and I see it more as like a journal I take out and just play in and dump my thoughts in. It's not really anything specific, but if I had to call it something, it would be that. And I'm going to keep it as that. I think it works well for me. I do skip every other page just because it does warp a little bit when I put a lot of media on it, and I don't want to deal with any ghosting or bleeding. So that's just a preference I do sometimes with the Midoris. It wasn't even the first time I did that. One of my old journals, I called it a wheneverly and a whateverly journal. Oh no, it was a wheneverly. I had another one that was a whateverly. But that one I would skip every other page and I would glue those together as well. And that was because when I first started using it, I was using Copic markers and it just kind of stuck. But yeah, it made the paper a little thicker. For some reason I do that with my Midoris. I don't really know why. I think I could get away with not doing it, but I continue to do it. So I'm going to use that for this. I'm also using the Hobonichi Techo, the 5-year. I have that. That's obviously got to stay. I'll be in my 4th year in 2022. So that's, I've got the 2022 and then it'll finish in 2023 after that year's complete. So that's really fun to look at. And I also have my Hobonichi Techo planner, which is just an A6 avec. So it's half the year at a time. I think it's January to June and then July to December. And I have a Mina Peronen case for that, like a cover that I got pre-owned from eBay, since I did miss out on the lottery for the 2021 or the 2022. I don't know which one it was, which season it was technically, but the one that you could get at the end of 2021, I missed out. So that's okay. I went and got a pre-owned one and I really, really love the patterns on that. So excited to move into that and use that, which I'll probably be using it by the time you see this. And yeah, so those I think are like the standards that I can, just name off the bat. The thing is, when I go and do art journaling the magic retreats, I always use the golden books for the Disney stuff. So that I don't think is going to change because I have a whole little library of the golden books and there are still some blank ones there. So I definitely have enough to keep going. And I think it should always kind of keep together for me because it makes sense that all of those experiences are kind of all grouped together. So I don't mind just keeping it like that. And they're great watercolor journals, and we do lots of art, and I still put photos in there and stuff, but for the most part, it's a lot of art journaling. So I'll keep using those. My When we do the Wizarding Artist Society, I do just now use handmade inserts, which are actually the same handmade. I actually make they're like little signatures, and they're not a whole bunch of paper. I keep them quite thin so I can really bulk them up, and I just use them as signatures. I use them in my virtual voyage workshops as well. And now I've made them the size of composition notebooks so that I can scan them a whole lot easier, because a lot of the stuff that I do end up scanning for Collage Club, or when I'm doing my workshops, I scan it as PDF references. So I think I'm going to keep doing that. I do want to learn how to bind them all together though, and I keep saying that, but I never will. So take it with a grain of salt. But I do want to learn how to bind them together so I can make big like a big hardcover version of the journal eventually, because when they're all separate signatures, it's fine to flip through, but I feel like they're getting a little bit damaged. I do want to kind of put them, in respective volumes if I can learn how to do it. In fact, I think I do half know how to do it. I just really don't want to take the time and the energy to really figure it out, because it's going to be a big process. But for the most part, I feel like for my workshops, I have enjoyed working in those. For Christmas, I did a traveler's notebook journal, and it was kind of like a junk journal. Now, this is where it's got me a little confused, because I actually really enjoyed that, and I'm wondering how I can make that a thing in 2022. I don't want to challenge myself to make it like, oh, I'm going to junk journal every week, or this is going to be my specific this, because does that make sense? I know as soon as I start giving myself a specific purpose for it, it'll drop off, and then I'll feel guilty that I'm not working in it all the time, and I'll just actually make myself a challenge that I don't want to do. So I think what I might do is add a junk journal, like a traveler's notebook. I might add a junk journal in that sits at my desk. And rather than say it's, this is specifically for outings that I have, or this is specifically like a personal whatever, I think I'm just going to keep it legitimately just for junk. And when I say junk, I've got a lot of junk. Junk always seems to accumulate at my desk, but I feel like if I just keep that there, I can constantly throw stuff in it. Now, I used to do something similar with some old A5 Hobonichis that I was gifted, and that worked quite well for me, but I think specifically I want to do it the way I did my Christmas journal, where it's a lot of decorated pages as well. So I won't just be kind of throwing stuff in there just to give it a home, but I will be throwing it in there, and it will still be kind of all junk journally, but it'll be a bit more creative. And I'll use my downtime, like if I ever have any, I'll schedule myself some downtime every now and again to get in there and kind of pull the spreads together or add photos. That's a big thing. I love printing my photos all the time. So whereas I would probably add them into my Hobonichi planner, my planner might actually start looking a little bit more empty, and I might end up junk journaling in a traveler's notebook for now. So the planner that, I've been using my Hobonichi, and it was kind of doing that, but I wasn't putting a lot of junk in there because it just bulks up so quickly, especially being A6. There's something about having a really bulky small journal that seems super impractical. So I think I'm going to try it. I mean, everything's flexible, everything's up in the air, but I feel like that'll be something that I can add that might serve a really good purpose. I've just gone through a whole bunch of ephemera and really culled it thin, so I feel like this is a good time to start that, and it'll also keep me on top of any piles of ephemera that start to accumulate around the studio. So a traveler's notebook that serves as a junk journal, I think, is definitely on the cards for me. Any other journals? I have a whole bunch of Midoris that I might turn into sketchbooks, but I generally sketch anywhere and everywhere. And a lot of my Art Snacks videos that I do for Art Snacks, the box freestyle, I end up with paper pads or loose leaves papers or whatever whatever substrate we get in the box. So I'm generally okay to do all my illustrations on those. I actually don't think I need a separate journal for that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for 2022. It might all change. Maybe I'll do an extra video on it one day and kind of show how it's all working, because I know it's a lot of journals, but I really do think that's a good working system for me. It's kind of what I've been doing already, except I think I do want to add a traveler's notebook junk journal. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Thanks for watching this stream of consciousness art journaling page. I'll see you again soon. Bye.